Chapter 1. The Enchanter's Debut. The crisp night air buzzed with anticipation as the Enchanter's circus rolled into the sleepy town, its vibrant tents and glittering lights standing in stark contrast to the muted facades of the surrounding buildings. Locals, both young and old, hurried to the outskirts, eager to witness the spellbinding feats that the renowned illusionist, Alexander the Enchanter, was renowned for. Alexander stood backstage, his customary top hat and tuxedo impeccably tailored, his dark eyes alight with a familiar excitement. This was the moment he lived for, the electric thrill of performing, of captivating an audience with the impossible made real. As the orchestra struck the first notes of his entrance music, a hush fell over the packed tent, all eyes turning towards the shadowed curtain. With a dramatic flourish, Alexander strode onto the stage, his presence commanding the attention of every soul in the audience. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd as he effortlessly levitated a trio of gleaming swords, their razor-sharp blades suspended in midair with nary a wire or trick in sight. Twisting his hands in fluid motions, Alexander sent the swords into a mesmerizing dance, their movements perfectly synchronized to the swelling crescendo of the music. Just as the audience's amazement reached its peak, Alexander snapped his fingers, and the swords vanished in a shower of glittering dust, eliciting thunderous applause. He bowed gracefully, his confident smile belying the years of meticulous practice and perfection that had honed his craft to such a fine edge. Backstage, a young woman named Sophia watched in awe, her hazel eyes wide with wonder. As a fellow performer in the circus, she had seen Alexander's act countless times, yet each performance never failed to captivate her. There was an effortless elegance to his movements, a seamless blending of showmanship and true magical ability that left her spellbound. Sophia had only been with the Enchanter circus for a year, but in that time, she had grown to love the vibrant world of the big top, where the impossible became reality. Her own act, a daring aerial display that combined acrobatics and enchanted ribbons, had quickly become a crowd favorite, but she knew that Alexander's performances were the heart and soul of the circus. As Alexander continued to dazzle the audience with a series of increasingly spectacular illusions, Sophia couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy. She longed to possess the same level of mastery, the effortless command of the stage that Alexander exuded. Yet despite her natural talent, she still grappled with a nagging sense of self-doubt, unsure if she would ever truly reach the same heights as the legendary Enchanter. Suddenly, a disturbance at the edge of the tent caught Sophia's attention. She squinted into the shadows, her brow furrowing as she glimpsed a cloaked figure slipping between the canvas walls. Intrigued, Sophia followed the mysterious intruder, her light footsteps muffled by the thunderous applause from the audience. The figure moved with purpose, weaving through the maze of backstage corridors until it reached a secluded alcove. Sophia hid behind a stack of prop crates, her heart pounding as she watched the figure remove its hood, revealing the face of a man whose sharp features and piercing gaze sent a shiver down her spine. This was no ordinary circus goer. The man's bearing and the intensity in his eyes suggested a sinister purpose. Sophia strained to hear his muttered words, her breath catching in her throat as she caught fragments of a conversation, something about the Enchanter's power and harnessing the magic. Just as Sophia was about to make her presence known, the man turned and disappeared back into the shadows, leaving her with a growing sense of unease. What was he planning, and how did it involve Alexander and the Enchanter's circus? Sophia hurried back to her dressing room, her mind racing. She had to warn Alexander, to share what she had witnessed. But how could she possibly interrupt his performance, the very thing that captivated the audience and defined the Enchanter's circus? As the thunderous applause echoed through the tent, Sophia paced the small confines of her room, torn between her desire to protect the circus she loved and her respect for the man who had become its beating heart. She knew that whatever lay ahead, the fate of the Enchanter's circus, and perhaps even Alexander himself, hung in the balance. Outside, the Enchanter continued his breathtaking display, oblivious to the shadows that were beginning to gather around his beloved domain. With a final flourish, he made an entire carousel of horses vanish into thin air, the cat eliciting gasps of amazement from the awestruck audience. As the crowd erupted into thunderous applause, Alexander bowed gracefully, his dark eyes shining with a mixture of pride and something more, a faint glimmer of unease that only Sophia seemed to notice. The Enchanter's circus had arrived, but the true test of Alexander's abilities had only just begun.